Okay, final review. Solve the equation. Negative 5x to the second power plus 35x equals 0. So how many answers? Well, I know x has 2 answers because it's to the second power. Now what method are we going to use? We got x here to the second, but I have it here to the first, so that means it's got to be set boxes. Okay, so I'm set. The zero's there. Now, how many terms do I have? Okay, what boxes are they? Okay, there's 2 terms, so it's GCF DOPS. Don't be scared to cross the DOPS box out if it doesn't work. At least think about it. So GCF DOPS. So remember the rule for the GCF is first number negative, it's x on both terms, and then the GCF calculator. Okay. So we do have the negative in the front, so we are going to put a negative. X is on both the lines, so I take x to the smaller power, which is the first. Okay. So I need the negative and I need x. Now the GCF, I go 5 and 35. Okay, that gives me 5. So since I am doing the GCF here, I put negative 5x to the first out here, okay? And I go up and divide both the terms by negative 5x to the first. So negative 5 divided by negative 5 is 1, okay? And then a second minus a first is a first. Now I take positive 35 divided by negative 5, and I got negative 7, so I put minus 7, and then the x's are both to the same power, so they go away. Remember the rule for DOPS. You have x, and you're looking in here. Is the x squared even there? Is x to the second power? No, it's to the first, so get rid of that. And you put equals 0, and then F1 and F2. Now when I write these out, I'm not going to put the first power. Don't need it. Any other power I would, but not a first. So negative 5x could equal 0, or 1x minus 7 could equal 0. So dot your x and circle it. And here I go straight to the dividing part by negative 5. Now those cross out. 0 divided by anything is 0. Okay. And over here, I add 7. So 1 dot x equals 7. And if my dot number is a 1, I just get rid of it. Okay. Any other number we're dividing, but not there. 0 and 7. Okay, number 2, x to the power of 2 minus 16x plus 28 is 0. So I do have x to the second. Now, so you should put a 1 there. So that's 2 answers down here. So I also have x to the first. Anytime I also have x to the first along with x to the second, it's going to be set boxes because the x's can't be combined. So you're set. And I got, this time I got 3 terms, so it's GCF table. Now I didn't write fail, so the table should work. Remember, make your tables, make a bottom half too. You're going to need to do something here. So negative x GCF. So the negative is not on the 1, so we don't put negative. I have x second there, x first here, but not x on 28, so get rid of it. And then 1, 16, and 28 is going to be 1, because anytime 1's one of the numbers, that leaves me with 1. Okay, so get rid of that. And then A, B, C. And I always find the product, multiply A by C times 1 and 28. I got 28, and that's positive 28. Okay, so because it's positive, it's an add, and I'm trying to get it to add to 16, which is negative. 1 and 28 is not going to add up to 16. It's 29, so that won't work. Now, what comes after 1? 2. Remember, I'm dividing into the 28. So after 1, I put 2. 2 and 14. What's 14 plus 2? 16. So 16 is negative, so you got 14 negative. And then a positive up there means the signs have to be the same, because the only way two numbers can multiply to a positive is if they have the same sign. Now my A is 1x to the second power. So if I have a 1, again, I make 4 parentheses, and I go 1x minus 2, and then 1x minus 14. Now the GCF of 1 and 2 is just 1, so that will stay 1x minus 2, and then 1, so that'll stay 1x minus 14. Okay, now I didn't put anything here in the GCF box, so I don't drop anything down. I just put equals 0, and I have my F1 and my F2. So 1 times x minus 2 could equal 0, or 1x minus 14 could equal 0. So I dot my x's, circle them, and then I plus 2. That's 0 plus 2 is 2. And I'm not going to divide because there's a 1 here. So 2 is the first answer. So 1 dot x equals 14, and 14 would be the second answer. 2 and 14 are the two solutions to the equation. Okay, number 3. 8x to the second power minus 2x minus 3 is 0, so x has two solutions. There's also an x to the second, x to the first, so again it's set boxes. So we're set, the 0's there, and then what boxes do I need? It's 3 again, so I go GCF and table. So negative x GCF. Negative I'm not going to have. X, no, because 3 doesn't have it. And then 8, 2, and 3 is 1. So all I can divide those by is 1, so we don't do it. I didn't write fail, so I do the A times C. Okay. Positive 8 times negative 3 is negative 24. So I got a negative, so that's going to be a minus, and I'm trying to get to minus 2. 2 is negative. 1 and 24, no. 2 and 12, nope. Or, sorry, remember you're dividing into the 24. I'm going too fast. 24 divided by 2 is 12. 12 minus 2 isn't 2. After 2 comes 3. 24 divided by 3 is 8. But that doesn't minus to an answer at 2. Now after 3 comes 4. 24 divided by 4. 6 minus 4 is 2. Okay. So 2 is negative, so you're going to have negative 6 and cross that out. Now I have a negative 24, so the signs are going to be the opposite here. So plus 4 minus 6. Now my A is 8x to the second. So first I make 4 parentheses. I go 8x, 8x, plus 4 minus 6. Okay, now I look and see what my GCF is. 8 and 4, the GCF's 4, so we're going to divide by 4 here. 8 divided by 4 is 2x, and 4 divided by 4 is 1. Okay, now how about 8 and 6? GCF's 2, so we divide these by 2. That's 4x minus 3. Okay, now again, I did not do a GCF, so I put equals 0. This has now turned into this, and I go F1, F2, it is factored. So 2x plus 1 could equal 0, or the 4x minus 3 could equal 0. So I dot both my x's. I got a plus 1, so I'm minus 1. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. And then I need to divide by 2. So negative 1 divided by 2 is negative 0.5. So I plus 3, 0 plus 3 is 3. Then I divide by 4, and 3 divided by 4 is also a decimal, 0.75. Okay, negative 0.5 and positive 0.75 are my two answers. Okay, number 4, there's two answers. What's my method? Again, we have a x to the first in there, so again, it's set boxes. So we're set with 3 terms again, so it's GCF and my table. Again, 3 terms, GCF table. Negative x GCF. Okay, my negative is not needed here. X second, X first, and nothing. Okay, and I go 4, 16, and 3. That's 1. Okay, so the greatest common factor is 1, so don't put it there. Now, the t-chart is fail. So if it fails, I go to the quadratic formula. Opposite of b, e opposite of b, e plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a over 2a. Okay. Okay, so I got a is 4. And that's a, that's b, that's c. So a is 4. B is negative 16, and C is 3. So opposite of B, I switch that to positive 16. The B itself, I put negative 16. Remember to get 2 parentheses at the beginning. 4, and then A is 4, and C is 3. Okay, then down on the bottom, A is 4. So I got 16 plus minus, and 2 times 4 is 8. And then I punch that square root into the calculator. So I go second, and then this is the square root key. Shift, it's like shift and then your square root function. Double the parentheses, and you're going to have negative 16. Close it. Now remember to get the second power there, okay? You can either hit this key in 2 or you can hit this key here, okay? Then I subtract a 4. Another 4, and a 3. I got 14.42. Okay, and then I see the 3 numbers I'm working with, so I take 16 plus 14.42 equals, and then divide by 8, 3.80. And the plus is gone, and now I subtract. 16 minus 14.42 equals divided by 8, 0.19. Okay, those are the 2 approximate solutions for x. Okay, number 5, we got x to the power of 3 plus 7x to the second power minus 9x minus 63 equals 0. So on this one, x would have 3 solutions because you have a third power. Now you've also got an x second and an x to the first. Okay, so you're going to have to set boxes. Okay, so you're set, the zero's right there for you. This time, how many terms you got? We have 4 this time, so we have to do grouping and dots. So grouping, parentheses plus parentheses, and the parentheses plus parentheses with the line outside, and then a big line and a parentheses, and I've just put a little teeny parentheses right there. Okay. Now you also have to do a DOPS box. Now you want to shift it to the bottom right and write DOPS. And the DOPS comes from this one, the second one. Okay, so then I put the 1x to the third with the plus 7x to the second, and then the negative 9x, don't put the 1 on it, minus 63. Okay, so negative x GCF, that's the three things I'm checking for. So where do I need a negative? Not here, because that first one's positive. Here we have a negative, so we're going to put it here. X, we're going to need x here because there's two x's. I take the 1 to the second power. The smaller power is the one you take. But I don't put x here because 63 doesn't have x. Okay, 1 and 7, the GCF's 1 because 1's in there. And then 9 and 63, the GCF is 9. Okay. Okay, so I'm dividing by 1x second and negative 9. So I pull out 1x to the second, and then I factor out negative 9. Okay. 1 divided by 1 is 1. A 3 minus a 2 would be x to the 1. And then 7 divided by 1 is 7, positive 7. And then those x's are forgotten because they're to the same power. They're out. Negative 9 divided by negative 9 is 1. And there'd still be the x there. Okay, and then I take negative 63 divided by negative 9, and that's 7. It's plus 7. Now get rid of that first power, and now you'll see that these two parentheses are identical. So you put that out here. That's your F1, 1x plus 7. That's your first factor. Okay. Now in the second parentheses, we put the 1x second along with the negative 9. So I write the expression 1x to the second minus 9. Okay, so the dots. X to the second is there. Okay, that's x. Is the second number negative? Yep, 9 is. Are the numbers perfect squares? Okay, 1 and 9. Well, 1 is 1 times 1. And so is 9. You got 3 by 3. Okay. That's F2 and F3. I put F1 right along next to it. And I put equals 0. Now I set each expression, each factored expression equal to 0. And I go from there. So I dot my x, circle it, dot the x, circle it, dot the x, circle it. So I'm minus 7, and 0 take away 7 is negative 7. I don't need to divide by 1, negative 7. Minus your 3, you're at negative 3. And again, dividing by 1 is a waste of time. So negative 3 plus 3, that's positive 3. And I don't need to divide by 1, so there's my 3 solutions. Okay, number 6 is a lot quicker problem. How many answers are there? Well, your x is to the second, so there are 2. But your method's going to be different, finally. You have x second, but I don't have any other x, like to any other power. I don't have x to first. I don't have x to third. X second's the only x power that I actually have. So it will not be set boxes, okay? Instead, it's going to be x squared equals x equals. So remember how you're going to do that. You're going to put x squared equals x equals out here. Then you just dot and circle, and you get the x second by itself. You do the opposite of minus 3, which is plus 3, which gives me 50. Then my dotted number's at 2, so I need to divide both of these by 2. So x second equals 50 divided by 2, which is 25. Now, what number times itself is 25? Well, I can either look at my table, and it's here, it should be 5, or I can just find the square root of 25 on my calculator. Second, fourth key up, 25 is 5. So again, it's 5, could be positive or negative. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . Okay, number 7. Now we see parentheses, so I'm not looking on this sheet, okay? Block, not blocked. Well, there's a second power there, so you're blocked. You cannot do the rainbows. So I rewrite the equation with h to the second power. So h to the second has a 2 in front of the parentheses. Now after the second power, we have a minus 4 equals 68. Okay. And after that, I write these two things, just like when I do have. Okay. And then I make the table so I remember to bring back the expression with x minus 3. Okay, so I dot my h and circle it, and I need to add 4, which gives me 72, and then I check my dotted number, it's a 2, so I actually divide, and 72 divided by 2 is 36. Okay. Now again, you have two options at that point to get to just the h. You can look up 36 is here, that's 6 by 6. Or you can simply find the square root of the number 36. So I go second, fourth key up, and I got 6. So 6 or negative 6 when you find the square root of a number. So I put my 1 dot it, so I add the 3, and that's 9. And I don't really need to divide because it's a 1, so 9 is the first answer. Then I'm plus 3. Negative 6 plus 3 is going to give me negative 3. And again, I have a 1 as my multiplier, so I don't need to do anything. Okay. If your multiplier is not a 1, you have to divide. But dividing a number by 1, it just ends up being the same number. It's identity property. Okay, number 8, parentheses. Now, it looks like the exact same problem, but the second power is not there, so you're not blocked, okay? So you go through with your rainbows, and you have 2x, then write the minus operation, and 2 times 3 is 6. And then after that's done, we have the minus 4 equals 68. And now all I simply do is dot the x variable and undo the operations outside. So I undo them both at the same time. Plus 4 to 68. Then I add 6 and add 6 to the 68 plus 4. Okay. So I have 2 dot x. The second power is not there. I take 68 plus 4 plus 6. I got 78. Then I simply divide by 2. And 78 divided by 2 is 39. Now, I don't square root the 39 because the second power is not there. Okay, number 9. An object is thrown into the air from a height of 7 feet. The initial velocity of the object is 75 feet per second. After how many seconds will the object land on the ground? That meaning, when is it at 0 feet? Okay. There are 2 units here I have to pay attention to, feet and seconds. So the time unit is the x, and then feet would be y. So per feet per second, my feet per second is 75 feet per second. Now this doesn't travel in a straight line, it goes up, comes down. So 7 feet is the starting height. That's before the 75, it's launched at 75 feet per second. And the landing height is 0 feet. Okay, so write an equation based on your graph. So we always go blank x to the second plus blank x plus blank equals y. Okay, so x second is the gravity. That would be negative 16. The x is the feet per second, which is 75, and the blank without the x is your starting height, which is 7, and then we land at 0 feet. So get the y out of there and put 0 in. Okay, now x has 2 solutions. So which method is it? Well, you got x to the first along with it, so it's back to the set boxes. with 3 terms. So I go GCF, and table wrote something for you up there. Okay, so the first thing, the negative, the x, GCF. Now you're going to need the negative here because your 16 is negative. Now x, I got second, first, but I don't have an x there, so I will not use the x. And then I see if I can, what I find for 16, 75, and 7. Okay, I just got 1, but because there's a negative with my 1, it's not positive 1, I'm going to go do it. Okay, that turns that to positive 16, x to the second. So it does something to your equation. That turns that to minus 75, x. If it's to the first, I'm not going to put the first. And then that turns to minus 7. Okay, now I ABC, but I don't take A times C because it says that that's going to fail. So it fails, and I go to my quadratic formula. Okay. Opposite of B, opposite of B, plus or minus the square root, B squared minus 4AC over 2A over 2A. So, A is positive 16 now, B is negative 75, and C is negative 7. So the opposite of my B is positive 75. B to the second, so we got negative 75. For A is 16, C is negative 7, and on bottom you got A is 16. Okay, so you got this, 2 times 16 is 32. Then I calculate my square root. So I go second. Again, the square root key is right where my hand's at. You have to hit the shift second key first. You need 2 parentheses to start because 1 comes up on its own. Negative 75, close it. Second power, you can go this second or this right here. Then I subtract 4, 16, negative 7. Okay, and I got 77.93. Okay, then I take 75 plus 77.93 equals, and then I divide by 32. 4.77. Okay, so the plus is gone. Now we subtract. 75 minus 77.93 divided by 32, negative 0.09. Well, obviously, my higher answer makes more sense, so 4.77 is the answer. Okay, and then my last problem. A picture is 9 by 15 inches. A frame is built around, you can see the picture, 9 by 5, and you're building the frame on the outside. That's X inches because we don't know. That's what we're trying to solve for X inches. It's 315 square inches, okay? How wide does a frame have to be? So there's your picture. It's not really a graph problem. So we need to find, remember, that's your area, so we need to multiply the length times the width and put the expression right here. So that's length, that's width. If you get them mixed up, it doesn't matter. So you have 2x and a 15 plus 15, and then I have 2x and a 9 plus 9. Then I distribute to multiply. I just drew 2 rainbows from that 2x. So 2x times, and then I do the same thing with my 15, okay? Or 2x times 2x and 2x times 9. And 15 times the same exact 2 factors, terms. Now put 1s on your x's, all of them. So 2 times 2 is 4. I see 2 little 1s, so I add those. 2 times 9 is 18. I just see the 1. 30, and I just see the 1. And 15 times 9 is 135. Okay, now I can simplify that by drawing my blanks. X second is the highest, followed by X, followed by the constant with no X. So you got 4. 18 plus 30 is 48. And then you got 135. Okay, and that's the expression we're going to put over here. 4x second plus 48x plus 135. Okay, now it's just like an equation we have to solve. Okay, how many answers? There's 2. There's also that x that isn't to the second, it's to the first, so that's set boxes. We got a little issue. You're not set, okay? So I need to set this myself before I draw my boxes, because I need to set this equal to 0. Remember, I want 0 right there. So I need to subtract. Okay, so at first I got 4. Then I got 48. And these two have to be combined, but they're on different sides. But a lot of people don't know the one to subtract. You want the 0 right here, so that's the one you subtract, 315. And then I subtract that under the 135. It matters which one you subtract, okay? Because if I do it the other way and take 315 minus 135, then I get positive 180. And then the problem with that is when I take the A times C, I'll be trying to add, okay? And I'll be chasing ghosts because I'm never going to find it, okay? So it's 3 terms, so it'd be GCF and table. Okay, negative x GCF. Okay, we don't need the negative here because it's a positive 4 as a leading coefficient number in front. X, you got x second, x first, but you don't have x here. And then I'm probably going to have a GCF with 4, 48, and 180. I mean, those are big numbers. There's something that's got to work. So it's 4. So I factor out a 4. Put it in parentheses and just go up and divide, but you don't have to worry about the x's because you're not doing 4x. So 4 divided by 4 is 1 with x to the second. 48 divided by 4 is plus 12 with x. And then negative 180 divided by 4 is negative 45. Okay, minus 45. Now I label, and then I need ABC, but then what do I do with it? Well, I don't see the word fail anywhere, so I take the A times C and try to factor that trinomial expression. So one trinomial, because there's 3 terms. One, negative 45. That leads us to a minus problem of 12, which is positive. See, if I subtract the wrong number, then I'll be looking to add to get 12, and that's never going to work. Okay, so 1 and 45, nope. Remember, you're dividing into the 45. After 1 comes 2, I got a decimal. Now I just go to switch the 2 to 3, and I got 15. I might be mistaken, but I think 15 minus 3 is 12. So 12 is plus, so 15 is plus. And the negative up there means the signs are opposite. Okay. Now your A, pay attention. Now your A is 1x to the second. It's not 4. There's my A. Okay. When I do that GCF, I got to look at the A as here. So I make 2 parentheses, and I'm going to be putting 1x minus 3 and 1x plus 15. The GCF on each of those are 1. So that'll stay 1x minus 3, and that'll stay 1x plus 15. Now bring that 4 in parentheses down, because that's also part of the expression, and I put equals 0. But because that doesn't have x, I don't put an F label on it. It's just these 2, okay? You're like F1, F2, F3. No, I only have 2 answers. So 1x minus 3 is 0. 1x plus 15 equals 0. So I dot my x's, and I add 3. So 1 times x equals 3. I don't need to divide by 1, so 3. And then my other answer, 0 take away 15 is negative 15. and you don't need to divide by 1, so it's negative 15. Obviously, 3 makes a lot more sense.